my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo, and today we are doing another monthly wrap-up. For me, the month of September was productive in life, semi-productive in writing, and not productive at all in YouTube. It is what it is. But if you're new to my channel, hey, welcome. This is the video where I recap my month before and I tell you all the books I read, the things I wrote, and some personal life tidbits that I want to share with you all. And because I did not do any vlogging yet, I have a failed vlog coming out, so you'll have some updates from me, but I'm gonna try to condense everything very quickly this month because unfortunately I have a lot to go through. So let's start with the books I read. In the month of September, I read 6 books to completion. The first book was, oh God, I started this at the end of August and I finished it like the 3rd of September, and that was the final Sookie Stackhouse book, which was called Dead Ever After. I don't have much to say. Obviously, if you don't know what the Sookie Stackhouse series is, it is the books that the True Blood show were based on. So this final book came out in 2013, and honestly, the last like 3 to 4 books of the series just kind of tanked for me. I felt like it was just grabbing onto straws. We were repeating plots, and I really hated that like Sookie was with this one character for like a majority of the series, like dating wise. And then suddenly it was like, yeah, let's just erase all the character development and they're no longer together. And that's basically how the series ended, was like they were no longer together and Sookie got with a character that made no sense because they had like no sexual romantic chemistry throughout the entire series because they didn't have scenes like that. There might have been like 1 or 2 earlier on in the series, but like this just felt like it was a slap in the face. Like, you're gonna deal with this, have fun. And I read a couple reviews that said it was a fan service, like a lot of fans wanted it to happen, and that's kind of why it might have happened. And honestly, look, it's weird to me of how much I absolutely hated the True Blood series finale. But after reading this finale, I can appreciate that one so much more, and I much rather have seen and read that one, that ending that True Blood had, versus the ending that we actually got. It was terrible. So I don't know if I'll ever read the series again fully because I really just, the last couple books did not do it for me at all. Next, I completed a poetry chapbook, which was Songs from Another Sun. This book is from Beyond the Veil Press. It is an anthology of BIPOC authors, and this was wonderful. There were some really, really beautiful poems in this piece. There was also a lot that was super heavy, but there's pieces that were hopeful. It's such a nice collection. It's a relatively quick chapbook, and I bought it because I, one, got accepted to another anthology the same year. So the Survivors anthology was where my 2 poems were published, and this was coming out beforehand, and because I wanted to read more diversely, I wanted to read more poetry, this just kind of happened at the same time, so I bought it, and I have no regrets whatsoever. Next, I finished A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova. This is my second Elise Kova in this world, I guess. It's a Married to Magic book. Each of the books stand alone, but there are some like interconnectedness. Like, the books might reference other characters from previous novels or events that happened in other books, and I just love this. So I will say, this is like, this whole series are happily ever after romances. So if you love those kind of books, then this is absolutely up your alley. And honestly, I really did like it. It is super predictable. I knew from the moment we started this book what was going to happen, almost like painfully so. And that's the only gripe I have about this book, is that because I knew what was going to happen, I felt like the events to get to that part took so long. And in particular, there's kind of like a secret identity in here that I guessed really early on, and because of that, I wish it happened midway through the book, and that might have changed like how their interactions of the 2 main characters, like the main character and the love interest, would have played out, because of the secret identity and the unknown identity too. They had some weird tensions that I just felt like were tried and true. Like, the tropes in here were nothing new. So I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. It was a really fast read for me. I just wished it was a little bit different, that we got a little bit more of a fresh take on the secret identity, secret royalty kind of play. But otherwise, this was really fun, and I would definitely recommend it. Next, I finished Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This was a pretty popular one. I think it was on Book Talk for a bit of like popularity, but it actually was a book club winner for me. My only downfall with that is that I read this immediately after finishing A Dance with the Fae Prince. And goodness, were there some similarities. I think I was just burnt out on Fae Princes by this point. I really wanted a light, fluffy palette cleanser, which is why I picked up A Dance with the Fae Prince. I wasn't expecting Half a Soul to win. My book club always says that they're burned out reading fantasy, and then we had 2 non-fantasy picks and they still didn't win. So I didn't expect this to win, and I think if I had known it was going to be a Fae story as well, I might not have read Dance with the Fae Prince first, because it felt so similar in the vibes. And I think because of that, I didn't enjoy Half a Soul as much, even though theoretically, like, talking about it in book club. So basically, what I wanted from Dance with the Fae Prince, where they like took the tropes and just tweaked them slightly, I did get that in Half a Soul, and I probably would rate it higher, like thinking on it now, than I would have after finishing reading it. But I definitely enjoyed it, and I don't know if I will read the rest in the series because they are also standalones in the same universe, but I may revisit this series down the road because I think I liked it. At the end of the day, I liked it. Next, I read an arc that was Dinner for Vampires, Life on a Cult TV Show by Bethany Joy Lenz. I am going to caveat this that, again, I think I said this in my last video, I like reading memoirs about people's lives because I find them very interesting. So I had no idea who Bethany Joy Lenz was at all. I have never watched One Tree Hill. At all. I've never seen a single episode. So I was not reading this for any type of connection to the show. And honestly, I think that served me well because there's not really a lot of talk about the show itself. The talk is really about her being in a religious cult and being groomed and committed to things that she didn't even know she was committing to, and just how insidious cult leaders can be, even small ones like the one she was in. Like, her cult was like 20 to 30 members at any given moment, and like that was it, that was capped. So it was a really, really small cult, but it was painfully sad to read this book. My heart just breaks for her of how much she gave up, like all of her dreams being handed to her, and her saying no because the family disapproved of it, because basically, like, if she did these things, they wouldn't have their control over her anymore. And she gave up literally her dream opportunities. Like, she never got to play Belle on Broadway, even though she was offered the position and that was her dream role, and she thought she was going to be able to kind of live for her and her grandmother, who never got to be on Broadway. Like, oh, it was heartbreaking. But it was also really eye-opening, and I think she, despite having all of these negative experiences, she kind of looked at it like, I got out though, at least. Like, it didn't kill me, it didn't drive me into the ground. Like, I finally opened my eyes after 10 years and got out. So even though it was bad, it could have been a lot worse. So overall, like, I really enjoyed this. I think it was such a refreshing read on cults because we get such sensationalized versions with TV shows and movies. And this was just honest and real, and it's way more terrifying than anything else. So whether you're a One Tree Hill fan, or I don't even know what character she played. Haley, was it? I've never watched the show, honestly. So if you just are interested in cult and mental health books, if you were a fan of the show, I would recommend this. This is probably one of my top 10 books of the year by far. And last, I read The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Ifuego. This is a book that is set 10 years after the events of the duology, Raybearer and Redemptor. They're all young adult books, but I would say this one leads a little bit older young adult, and it still deals with some of the heavier topics about poverty and generational trauma and the downfall of, like, even though you might change something structurally at the top, it takes a long time to trickle down to the people who are much farther below you. And I really liked it. I think the author's voice is just so beautiful. I think she has a beautiful writing style. I feel like it's so lyrical and captivating. And she just really invokes a lot of emotions throughout you. I still think I liked Raybearer and Redemptor more than this book in particular, but I liked that we got to revisit a familiar favorite character, and I just can't wait to see what the author does outside of this world. I would honestly love her to write an adult novel, and with this book, I can maybe see her stepping into that area. I think she's written some short stories that would be considered an adult short story rather than YA with like adult protagonists. So I hope we're getting there because I think she would nail it with some African inspired adult fantasy. I need it now. And those were all the things that I read in the month. I think my favorite was Dinner for Vampires, but I just had such a unique and wide range of books this month that it's hard to say because they all just had differences among them. So what was your favorite read of the month, and have you read any that I completed? Next, a very short little segment for all the things that I wrote. And let's be real, it's not much. I did not vlog a lot in September because I got a little burned out with vlogging, and I got a little burned out with writing and the absolute high pedestal I was trying to hold myself to. I'll go more into that in a different video, but I got through chapter 12 in Vampire, which honestly is quite a lot because I did some heavy edits in those chapters. I also added a completely new chapter. So I think it was chapter 11 is completely new and written, and I had to take what was previously chapter 11 and that was going to be moved into a later segment. So I am getting into the parts now where a lot of heavy editing needs to be done. I need to take things out. I need to change things. I need to add things back in. So I think that kind of intimidated me a little bit, and I didn't get as far as I wanted, but I'm still currently almost about the halfway point to what I have written right now, not including what I'm going to add in. So I'm going to say I didn't do too bad. Otherwise, I will again talk about this in a future video, so be on the lookout for my failed vlog. I did some in-person research at a mining village, which truthfully was super, super rewarding. I learned so much heartbreakingly sad shit that I feel like it'll be really nice to kind of bring the readers in to sympathize with my vampire before he kind of turns on everybody. But it really was sad, like the conditions that miners had to live in and all the problems that came from these mining towns because they promised like a lot of things and then the miners pretty much got screwed over on everything. And a lot of that information I think I can take in and use for my vampire's backstory. I also decided that I have Welsh ancestry. I met my great-great-grandmother, and she was born in America, but her parents came from Wales and emigrated in the early 1900s, late 1800s. So my Welsh ancestry is like not that far back in all things considered. And a lot of the Welsh immigrants became coal miners. So I decided that I don't know if it's going to play a huge role, but my vampire will be Welsh. And it's just going to be like, you know, the conditions of him coming over and, and starting in these industries. And we're going to learn why he's super bitter and super crazy. So, yeah. And my last bit of writing updates is that around the midway point of the month, I started feeling very frustrated and angry at myself for not writing. And I just started doubting myself so much. I really did not know if I was going to be able to do this novel. I kind of was like, well, I probably am not doing it justice. And I thought to myself that maybe I should write my query letter. It was something that will eventually need to be done anyway, and sometimes doing something outside of the novel but attached to the novel, like a query letter or a synopsis or a pitch, can just like ground yourself in what you're actually trying to write. So I was contemplating that maybe the query letter would be the right way to go, and around that same time I saw an Instagram post about a query letter contest. So I decided to write the query letter and to submit it to this contest. So that's where we're at with that. The contest is not to get like an agent. It's just to kind of see how good your pitch is so far and potentially win prizes, which includes a consultation with an agent. So I would love to be in a talk with an agent, because like who wouldn't want that? And just like getting feedback on what to do better when you're querying and how to stand out and ask the questions that I wouldn't be able to ask until maybe hopefully one day I get a call with an agent, you know? So I hope I get somewhere with it. I don't know how many people are going to enter, but I think they at least anticipate over 25. It's a pretty big followed like Instagram account, so there might be hundreds. I don't know. But yeah, wish me well, guys. Lastly, summer is officially over, so it is time to tally up my summer bucket list. I set out in the beginning of the summer to do a lot of activities outside, and I really wanted to enjoy my summer, because every summer I'd say I'm going to do stuff and I don't. So I'll just kind of go through what I did in September and then just tell you my totals. So in the month of September, I went on my longest bike ride to date. We did 26 miles and I really, really loved it. It was just a beautiful day. It was like low mid 70s. We had a wonderful lunch. Like I felt really good riding. Like I wasn't like huffing and puffing. I felt like I was in really good shape. So it was like a perfect day and probably one of the last good days to ride if I don't get lucky and we can't go one more time in October. I also saw the Beetlejuice movie. I loved it. There was, I think, a little bit too many plots in it, but otherwise it felt like a Beetlejuice movie. I felt like they really kept the kookiness and the scene setting and like the stylized versions of what made the original movie such a cult classic, and they kind of kept it very similar in tone and vibe, and I just really liked it. It was a good time. My sister is also having a baby, and we had the gender reveal in September, and I got to know that I'm going to be an aunt to a little baby boy, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to spoil this child. I am going to make him a nerd. It's going to happen. I'm already sending my sister all the memes from TikTok of like, you know, hanging out with your nerdy aunt for a weekend. And I'm like, this is gonna be me. Just starting him early, just so you know. But now I am really excited, and that was a really, really beautiful time. And honestly, that was it for my personal life, at least anything major going on. There was a lot of ups and downs again. I won't get into details because they are not my health ups and downs, but I think that also contributed to why I was not nearly as productive with my writing. Yeah, you know, just gotta be safe, and my brain was not focusing on anything else. So I think that's probably why my month went the way it did. But overall, I think we're in a better place heading into October, and I'm hoping that we can really enjoy spooky season now. So I'm just going to do a quick tally in case anyone's interested. If not, this is probably where you guys want to jump off, and I appreciate you for staying as long as you did. For anyone who's interested in stats, I'm just going to read them. I'm not going to do a chart. I'm so sorry. So my activities included quite a few things that I really wanted to get accomplished, and I definitely did not meet them all. I wanted to go on 4 bike rides this summer. I went on 4 bike rides. I wanted to go on 12 walks or hikes. I went on 14. I wanted to golf 3 times because I have an entire new golf set that I've never used, and I wanted to try to get better, and I golfed none. And I blame my husband for that. I wanted to do archery at least once because, again, I also have a bow and arrow set, and I love it, and I have used it maybe twice in 12 years. I didn't go at all either. I wanted to go swimming 6 times. I went 5. It's kind of sad. I love swimming, so the fact that I did not get out more, I'm gonna blame work, because the best days to go swimming were always like, you know, noon to 4 o'clock on a weekday, and I could not do that. I wanted to go on the side-by-side at least 3 times this summer. I went on 4 rides. I wanted to see 2 sunrises, and I saw none. And honestly, that hurts a little bit because I was invited to go to a sunrise hike where we would hike up the mountain starting at 5 a.m. and then watch the sunrise when it was coming up around like the 6:30-ish mark. And I didn't get to go because that was the week of the chaos in my life. And I was really bummed about that. But, you know, the sunrise is coming up later now, so maybe I'll just switch that into an October goal because then I don't have to get up as early. I wanted to celebrate Litha with my friends, and I had a wonderful little celebration, and we finally drank our homemade wine. We made dandelion wine last year from scratch, and we tried it this year, and honestly, it kind of tastes like a Chardonnay. I'm pretty damn proud of myself, and I wish I could share it with you all, but you'll just have to take my word for it that I made pretty good wine. And lastly, I wanted to attend Stevie Nicks in concert. We were supposed to attend in June Stevie Nicks got sick. She canceled and postponed, and it happened at the last weekend of September on the 28th. And truthfully, it was one of the best experiences of my life, and I will share a little clip here. So yeah, I will say that even though I didn't hit all my goals for the summer, I think it was a very rewarding summer. And the fact that I wrote some new material, I edited, I submitted some things, like I feel like I feel very accomplished despite having so many life up and downs and not quite getting to all the places I thought I would get, but still enjoying what I did accomplish. That was my September, guys. So thank you so much for sticking around. If you made it this far, please leave me a little fall leaf emoji because we are officially into October and we will be doing a lot more October-y things and fall things now that we are in the season. I would love to know down below what your best read was or what you wrote in the month or just something fun that you did. And until next time, I'll see you guys then. Bye.